All right, it looks like we're live. This is the Pipeline Podcast. Today, we are covering the No King's Day protests. It's June 14th, Saturday. Today is the day of Trump's military parade and the No King's Day protest. We're going to go over it. Everybody get excited. This will be really just a continuation of our LA riots series, but it's going to be part of episode 7. So if you want to start from the beginning, it's going to be like episode 6. There's going to be a couple episodes on the LA riots. It will continue into episode 7 of the Pipeline Podcast. For anyone new, the Pipeline Podcast is just a way to explain the political discourse going on in the United States right now. We're going to look at how the media tries to spin things, how people react to it, how people even understand the information that they're given, how people even make choices based on that information. I give an example of just yesterday, or I think it was 2 days ago, I was talking about Iran told the US that Tehran might bomb the US embassy in Iraq, but it turns out that was most likely just fake news to give Iran a false sense of security so that Israel can attack Iran. So it's as the future goes on, the story always develops, we learn more information, and it's just, that's the kind of stuff that's interesting to me. That's enough of me ranting about the Pipeline Podcast. Let's get into our topics today. They are all good. I do just want to start off and say congratulations to the Democratic Party, because in my eyes, the No King's Day protest went off about as good as it possibly could have. I can't really imagine it going off any better. I was able to only find, as of 10:32 p.m. Eastern Time, one source of a violent protest, and it was really only one or two people. And considering the hundreds of thousands of people that went out and protested for the No King's Day, you could really say it went off without a hitch. So congratulations, really nice job. Now, in my opinion, the next step is to try to get your party in line. Try to form a party that can agree on things and have a real agenda and try to seek out that agenda. I'm not going to go into that too much, but you're on the right track. Keep it up. This is the only source I could find of a violent protest today. Of course, it's going to be LA. It's just some post by some alt-right Karen that says, you touch an LAPD horse, you are going down. But either way, let's check out the source. I do have one more source on this, but this is the best video. So we'll just watch it. The quality is amazing. So that's really it. We just see, it looks at the beginning of this video like this guy here in the black shirt was doing something. But on the video, you almost see it. It looks like he touched the horse. You can't really see it. I'm not sure. But my guess is before the start of this video, he was also complicit with this guy in the red shirt. So this is what we see in the video. We see the guy in the red shirt just getting too close, touching the horse, and he gets slapped. It looks like LAPD deal with him. So that's fun. That is the only instance of violence that I can find of these protesters at all today. So really good job. That's how you do it. Nice fucking job. There was no Molotov cocktails. There was no rocks thrown at police. There was no M80s thrown at police. As of yet, there has been no looting. Iran obviously attacked back. Do that every single night if you have to. I don't think you can keep the numbers up, but if you got to do it, that's how you do it. Nice fucking job. Let's just go to our next source. It's actually a kind of a great source. Bear with me through this ad here. I do apologize, but it's the same source we just saw, except it's from the point of view of a reporter, and it's kind of comical. So we'll play it. All right, so here it is. We're going to have to restart, cut a little bit. So anyway, this is the second source on the one instance of violence that I have found so far on the LA protest, the No King's Day protest. It did take place in LA, but it's from the point of view of a news reporter, and it's kind of hilarious. So let's check this out. We'll just watch it.
I want to reiterate, this looks very intimidating. This has remained 100% peaceful as far as I have seen. People are out here with their signs. Here, may I show your sign, ma'am? Can I? You said your sign says.
We are not criminals.
Whoa, 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 let's go.
Peaceful protest. We're not doing nothing wrong. We have the freedom of speech.
Go, 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 go. You want to be careful.
That's really the best part, where she's like peaceful protests. So the subreddit it was posted on was r/there was an attempt, and the title is to talk about how peaceful the situation in LA is. So the joke here is there was an attempt to talk about the peaceful protest, but that lady starts talking about it. We're not doing anything illegal. That's when, like, that's of course right when someone starts messing with the horses. So it was just funny, and it's always good to take a look at these things from multiple sources, because you look at this source from MSNBC and you don't actually see the reason why these horsemen are pushing up and moving the protesters back. And it is, in fact, because they turned violent. When the left or right talks about you seeing misinformation about these protests or riots, however you define them, just understand that both sides do have misinformation. And a good proof of that, this source is a very Republican source, this lady. And then the other source was MSNBC, a very liberal source. So you're going to get two different takes of the video. I just wanted to show that. That is the only instance so far of violent protests that I have seen. And again, great job to all the protesters. Really good job. Keep it up. The next story we have today, I'm sure you've heard about this. We're just going to read the title. Former appointee of Tim Walz sought in politically motivated assassination of lawmaker and husband in creepy mask. This guy was appointed by Tim Walz, but I looked into it. It was to like a non-partisan board or like committee or something. This doesn't mean that Tim Walz endorsed this guy, because this guy was a Republican as of like the latest update we have in his voter records. From Minnesota, same state that Tim Walz is the governor of. He just kind of tries to go on a rampage today. And so this is a really good example of violence. And in this case, we do have violence from the right. So we see it here. We're going to call it out. This is a big story. This was not an LA protester. This was like a far right extremist that decided to start going shooting people, like shooting politicians. He had a whole list. The list was huge. He had a list of 70 politicians on his hit list that he was going to go and try and shoot, including Tim Walz and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan. He did get 2 confirmed as far as I understand, but I believe he shot 4 people and 1 dog, as well as he also shot at police. And the final update as of now is he still has not been caught. This dude is on the loose with a hit list of 70 lawmakers, and he is not apprehended. So you want to talk about violence? This guy is number 1 right now. Kash Patel, my boy, please get on that. And you just look at him, and he just looks like that guy that just reached that breaking point. You know, that one last straw, someone finally crossed it, and he's like, all right. And he just went vigilante Luigi mode. So we're going to skim through this article just so I can give more context, because the context I provided and this title is not enough context. So let's see if the New York Post can do a better job. Let's just start here. A crazed killer with a political grudge allegedly donned a police uniform and a creepy Halloween mask. Yes, so he put on a mask and he had like a police uniform type thing on. That's how he was getting into these houses. He was just going up to these people's houses, knocking on the door saying like, I'm police, can I come in? As he shot one Minnesota state lawmaker to death and wounded another in a slaying that shocked the nation Saturday, amassed an ununiformed Vance Luther. I'm not even going to say his name, actually. I might even cut his name out. There's no reason to like say this guy's name, in my opinion. We should be talking about the victims here. He was a political appointee of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, shot Senator John Hoffman and his wife in their Camplin home Saturday, leaving them seriously injured. So yeah, the senator and his wife are alive, which is crazy because they got lit up multiple times, but they are alive. But he went to another house afterwards and just started shooting again, and he was just going down his list. This dude's crazy. He then moved on to former Democratic House Speaker Melissa Hortman's house, where he is believed to have slaughtered her and her husband. That's pretty much what happened. He went to this lady's house and killed her and her husband. which is terrible because, I mean, I don't even need to say why it's terrible. We got someone going out, killing lawmakers, killing elected officials in the United States of America. I would be more than happy to see 26 more stores get looted in LA than to see one lawmaker shot by a vigilante gunman in this country. So this kind of stuff is way, way past the line, way too far, and it cannot be accepted. Like this is the worst of the worst right here. Because we start going around killing politicians, we're not any better than any other country. You know how many politicians die in Mexico? And you wonder why their government it barely functions? You cannot have these vigilantes going around doing that. It is a serious issue. And it's even more serious because he's not been found yet. He got in a shootout at the Democratic House Speaker Melissa Hortman's house, and he got away. And they still have not found him. Jarring images shared by the Federal Bureau of Investigation include a photo that allegedly showed Bolter wearing a creepy Halloween-style latex mask in style of a bald, wrinkly man during the targeted shootings. The killer is still on the loose, despite exchanging gunfire with officers who responded to Hortman's home and briefly cornered him inside. So I do want to say, I just want to speak on how this could have gone. I mean, just think about it. You're the police. You already heard about the first two people that got shot, and you're responding to this, like, other house. I don't know how the police got called here. Some dude dressed as a cop in, like, a Freddy mask walks out with a gun and starts shooting at you. And I just think that, like, it's very important for, like, everyone to understand what cops go through. Just imagine you're some cop in Minnesota. You probably don't see this stuff too often. But one day, you roll up to some politician's house and some dude dressed like a cop in a Halloween mask rolls out and starts opening fire on you. I mean, that really is one of the hardest jobs to do. They didn't get him, but they tried their hardest, I'm sure. So, great job, police. Please find him soon. He left behind a manifesto, which we have not seen. It's not been made available to the public, as far as I know, yet, listing the names of 70 politicians, including Walt, and a stack of papers stating no kings in reference to the nationwide anti-Trump protest, according to police. So here's where I am going to start making up conspiracies. I think this dude was like a Republican, as far as I can tell, that was mad at like the Democrats for some kind of like Minnesota law that they passed. And I don't really understand why. I don't know exactly why he felt the need to like shoot all these people, but I wish I understood. But I mean, this guy's obviously crazy, so we're probably never going to understand. But there is conspiracy stuff here. This could be like a false flag type thing. I'm not even going to say who, but certain people wanted this to take place to like make it look like the No Kings protests were like a bad thing, maybe to just make Trump look better, or maybe it has something to do with the Israel-Iran thing going on. Like, it's just so weird to me that today on No Kings Day, he has papers stating no kings, like he's going to give them out at protests to support no kings, but then he goes around shooting Democratic politicians. So I don't understand that. That's really where like I just really don't understand what's going on. I kind of start losing like the point of what this guy was doing. I don't understand that. The apparent hit list included abortion providers, clinics, and Planned Parenthood. So yeah, he's like shooting like Democratic people. And he has a stack of papers stating no kings that he was going to like hand out the protesters. But this guy was like a hardcore Republican is the weird thing. So I don't really know. So let's see if we can scroll down here and look at it. I just want to talk about where officials were mum on the motives, though it came just 5 days after Hortman sided with Republican leaders as the lone Democrat to cut access to state health benefits for illegal immigrants in North Star State. One of the people that he shot was a Democrat that voted with Republicans to cut state health benefits for illegal immigrants. And he shot that person. But I'm pretty sure this guy was a Republican. So it doesn't make sense to me. And if you go deep into the internet right now, they're saying that he's like a Mossad psyop type thing. hopefully more information comes out on that and we can make a real conspiracy and like do a full-length story on it. But really, that's all I have right now. There's a vigilante gunman on the loose that has already killed 2 people, that has a hit list of 70 politicians, and he has not been found yet. He needs to get found, I guess, is where I'm going to end this. And it is a huge story for today, so obviously I have to bring it up. Let's check out our next source. Oh, so we've seen this already. I want to take a look at this because it's relevant. Live updates. Israel bombards Tehran, setting oil facilities ablaze. So this is kind of the latest update on Israel-Iran. Where we left off on our YouTube, Israel had just preemptively attacked Iran. A bunch of US senators and congressmen went out in support of Israel. That's kind of where we left off. After that, there has been some escalations. I believe it was Tel Aviv was where they attacked back. The narrative is they attacked Tel Aviv, Iran, and they killed a bunch of civilians, but the Israeli strikes were all in military locations. So that's why you should side with Israel right now. But keep in mind, Israel did attack them first. Iran is just responding. They're not the aggravator here. So it is important to understand that. I'm guessing this is something burning in Iran. Let's take a look at the latest. The sky over Tehran was engulfed in smoke and flame on Sunday after the city's main gas depot was struck during Israel's latest wave on attacks on Iran. So yeah, it is Sunday over there. Right now it's Saturday. The 2 countries launched renewed waves of attacks on each other late on Saturday as leaders of both countries vowed to intensify their assault despite international pleas for de-escalation. And also, we've seen Israel ask the US for like full-on support in this war that they started. And the worst part is, they're probably going to get it. And in reality, Americans should not want us to go around siding with countries that start wars. If you look at it statistically, this might be stupid, but just think about it for a second. Has Iran ever developed a nuke and used a nuke violently? The answer is no. So Iran doesn't go around launching nukes randomly, but that's the reason we're being told that we need to preemptively strike Iran, that Israel needs to preemptively strike Iran, and that's the reason we're being told that we should side with Israel to help destroy Iran. This needs to stop. The American people do not want to be complicit in murdering civilians of other countries. I don't go that deep with Iran. I don't know if they're actually trying to make nukes and start lighting them up in nuking people. But statistically, so far as everyone knows, they have not done that yet. Iran does not go around nuking people. Maybe the whole reason they haven't done it is because of preemptive strikes like this. But I see this as just aggression. Israel's already in a war right now with Hamas, and they're just starting another one. They're like that little 19-year-old kid that goes to his mom every first of the month and says, "Hey, help me pay rent. You don't want me to be homeless." Israel just starts shit and says, "Hey, US, back us up on this. You don't want us to like lose our right to exist." This is all bullshit. We do not need to be dragged into another war. I really hope Trump is smart enough to realize that if he does drag us into another war, everyone's just going to hate him. They're going to be like, "Oh, he's just Bush 2.0. Nice job, bro." We're going to be doing updates on Israel v. Iran. I will try to give you my hot take of what happens in an unbiased way. Israel does have the advantage that they can attack Iran accurately from afar. But when it comes down to like boots on the ground numbers, if it becomes like a full scale all out war between Israel and Iran, Israel does get overrun here, and there's nothing that can stop that except for the US siding with Israel. And that's one thing I would not like to see, because for the US to go toe to toe with Iran in like a ground invasion or even a defense of Israel, the US like citizen cost will be so ridiculously high that it's not even worth us. Just the chance of that happening proves that it's not even worth us escalating this right now. Another problem is a lot of these politicians really do support Israel, for better or worse. I don't know what their intentions are. I can't read anyone's mind. And I do understand why someone would support Israel. I also do understand why people wouldn't support Israel. But trying to look at this from like an unbiased standpoint, we have Israel outright attacking Iran, and we have Iran retaliating. We'll leave it at that. I'll talk about it more later, don't worry. Let's check out our next source. Okay, so this didn't happen today. This actually did happen like 2 days ago. So it would have been Thursday. But we're going to read the headline. This is basically it. Protesters disrupt major drug bust in Tucson, Arizona, mistaking it for immigration action. So it looks like some undercover federals were doing a drug bust in Arizona, and people thought it was an ICE raid, so they started protesting it. And they get in the way. And it just kind of goes to show that, like, people really don't understand. I don't think, like, the powers that federal government and federal agents have, like, they do this thing all the time. And they're not doing this just because Trump is in office. They're definitely doing a lot more ICE raids, but only if you're comparing Biden v. Trump. If you're comparing Trump v. any other president, no, he's not doing a ridiculous amount. So let's check this video out. We got federal officials undercover making drug busts, but protesters are getting in the way. And so what I really just want to let everyone know is, like, if you're going to protest something, you really, really need to understand what you're protesting and why you're there. Is this a January 6th riot, or is this a King's Day riot? You let me know. What do you think?
We got people breaking through the barriers of the Capitol building. We got people breaking through the barriers of the Capitol building. There's people that are breaking through the barriers of the Capitol building, rushing the Capitol steps. We got people rushing the Capitol steps right now. The Capitol, military off our streets.
All right, so that was the first source. That's the first source. Let's check out the second source. I want you to tell me, please tell me, is this a J6 rioter or is this a King's Day rioter?
Let's go! Fuck this shit! We tell you dude, you back the fuck off! You back off! Move! Move! That's our house! That's our house! We pay your bills! We paid for this mess we put on! For some bullshit! Hold my back. Hold my backpack. Hold my backpack. Fuck, I can't hold on. I can't get it on. Hey.
All right. Basically, what I'm trying to convey to you, the audience, if you're still following me, this video, which is J6 rioters moving in on the Capitol, is the same as this video. In this video is King's Day rioters moving in on the Capitol. It's all the same shit. Now, there is a couple differences here. We do have some instances in J6 where the police did not hold the line and they kind of sympathized with the rioters and let them in. As far as I've seen so far, more sources will come out, I'm sure. We do not have instances of police sympathizing with No King's Day rioters pushing onto the Capitol. That's one thing I do want to say. The second thing I want to say is talk about use of violent force, like lethal force, like real bullets. Did we see lethal force used on January 6th rioters? Yes, we did. All right, now I'm going to take you back to today's video. Actually, sorry, this was yesterday, the day before No King's Day. Did police use lethal force on No King's Day rioters moving in on the Capitol? The answer is no, they did not. That's kind of what I want to point out here. We got the same shit from two different sides. But as soon as they go a little bit too far on the left, it's a big deal. But if they shoot and kill one of these people on the right, it's not really a big deal, is kind of what I want to show here. That is just the last thing I wanted to go over today. This episode did take a little longer than I thought, so what we're going to do now is just sum up all of the sources I have here. We had 3 main stories. So we had No King's Day. We had the crazed gunman killing politicians in Minnesota that is still on the loose. And we have Israel v. Iran. So give me just a minute and we'll sum up all those topics and then we'll end the episode. All right, the first thing we went over today was the fact that statistically, No King's Day protests were a success. There was only one example so far of violence that I can see, and it's an old man getting a little too touchy with the horses, which does, in fact, ruin it for everyone. So, big L for him, big W for No King's Day protest, and also big W for all the police that really thought their life might be on the line today. These protests could turn extremely violent. And they could have, but they didn't because everyone here lives in the United States and you're all welcome for that. Police don't really go around massacring as much as they do in other countries. And if that's not happening, there are countries that don't even have police that can even prevent any kind of situation in the first place without taking a bribe, if they even exist as like a real entity in the first place. So whatever. Let's take a look at the second source. We have former appointee of Tim Walz sought in politically motivated assassination of lawmaker and husband in creepy mask. So we have some far-right extremist that is kind of political. I don't know if he was ever a democratically elected politician, but he does a lot of political stuff. He finally cracked, had a manifesto and list of 70 politicians that he was going to assassinate. He, as far as I understand, seems to be super Republican, and he's assassinating like Democrats, but I could be wrong on that. That's not really what matters. What matters is he's still on the loose. And everybody listen up. People in the United States do not live in countries like Mexico that have like a lot of corruption where it's just okay to kill politicians. So this really is the biggest thing that happened today. This dude thinks that he is law and order and can go around shooting democratically elected politicians and get away with it. So no. And this is kind of why you need the government in the first place to deal with people like this. And a nice contrast to this guy would be Luigi, the guy who shot the CEO of the United Healthcare. So like this dude is super on the right, Luigi is super on the left. Once you go too far, like there is a line that you can cross on either side. And so to end this, he needs to be caught. Absolutely. And I do kind of hope Minnesota has the death penalty still, but I doubt it does. But this kind of violence Like, he needs to be held accountable for it. And you cannot have a democracy with people like this that go around and just decide by themselves who gets to govern the American people or not. The next update we have here is live updates. Israel bombards Tehran, setting oil facilities ablaze. So Israel preemptively struck Iran, which means Israel attacked Iran unprovoked. The claims that Israel makes is Israel is only targeting Iran's like nuclear and military facilities, while Iran is just responding randomly and killing a lot of civilians. And it's kind of like, Israel, what did you think was going to happen? I mean, that's on you. But they're trying to use those claims to say, hey, US, back us up. And I feel like I do speak for the majority of Americans when I say, you do not want to back up Israel here. Do not let Israel drag us into another war. Why are they starting shit when they're still trying to deal with Hamas? They are. It is fair for someone to say that they could be warmongering in the Middle East. I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what they're doing, but it is violent. I know that much. And whatever you think, even if, like, my argument to people that would say, oh, you can't let Iran go unchecked because they're going to develop nukes and nuke people. My argument would be, show me proof that they have done that in the past, and they haven't. Let's continue. Protesters disrupt major drug bust in Tucson, Arizona, mistaking it for immigration action. So yeah, what happened here is, I wish I could find exactly the organization that did it. I believe it was IDF. But it doesn't actually say. Maybe PCSO? It might have even been ICE, but they were doing a drug stuff. I don't even know. But either way, what happened was federal agents rolled up in Tucson to do a drug bust. And they got 120 pounds of fentanyl, 20 pounds of meth, 35 pounds of cocaine, and 4 guns. But what happened was anti-ICE protesters showed up and kind of just ruined the whole op. All these protesters showed up and said, oh, you're deporting people. Stop, stop, stop. But they don't realize they're getting in the way of federals doing real work that they should be doing, stopping crime, getting drugs off the streets. And I want to make the case that if you're against all these Trump cuts to federal agencies because you really think that the federal agencies need these money, the same logic goes to these protests. You cannot have protests impeding on federal agencies trying to work. You're wasting taxpayer money by messing up the whole operation. So just beware of that. You really need to understand what you're protesting and why you're there. If you ever decide to like heed that call to action, you really need to understand what you're doing and why you're there in the first place and what you're supporting. And if you just show up at a random house and you ask someone like, yo, like what's going on? And they just say, oh, they're deporting people. Like, do not just believe the first person you hear like tell you like what's going on. Always look to like prove it for yourself. So until you see ICE randomly handcuffing people, maybe you shouldn't be protesting and maybe you're impeding in an investigation. So that's kind of stuff like people should really be on the lookout for, because there are federal agents that are trying to get real work done. And these protests are just literally wasting taxpayers' money. So let's continue to the next source. We have radical leftists storming the Capitol here. And lastly, we have radical rightists storming the Capitol here. And I'll tell you what, folks, They look the fucking same to me. So to end today's episode, I do want to congratulate everyone that went out to the No Kings protest today and did not commit violence. And I want to congratulate federal agents and all the police officers that went out today and were able to control themselves as well because they have superb training and they understand the cause that they're working towards, which is a government that functions unlike a government that allows this kind of stuff to happen, where we have vigilantes assassinating the elected politicians. The kind of government we want is one that actually functions, where we don't have vigilantes causing violence. On either side, it doesn't matter. So that's kind of what I wanted to leave off on today. We will have updates on most of these stories in the future, so let's take a look. We will have an update on King's Day protests because currently it is 11:15 p.m. Eastern time. There's a lot of night left to go, and I've said this multiple times, I'll say it again. The protesters get a little violent at night. That's when the crazies come out. We will have an update. We will have an update on if this crazed gunman in Minnesota with the manifesto hit list of 70 politicians gets found or not. And I really, really hope he gets found before another politician gets gunned down in the United States of America, because we are so much better than that. You cannot let this kind of stuff happen. Next story. Oh yeah, we will have updates on this. Israel v. Iran. I think that Israel is just going a little bit overboard here. They should not be starting wars. In my opinion, Israel should not start shit. Next story, we're not going to cover this again, but protesters disrupt major drug bust. Protesters disrupt major drug bust, mistaking it for immigration action, but in reality, they were getting drugs off the street, and not just like an ounce of marijuana. It was over 120 pounds of fentanyl, 20 pounds of meth, 35 pounds of cocaine. Like, it was real hard shit. And then the last story, maybe we'll cover it again if more King's Day sources come out. I don't know. Well, maybe we'll cover it again, maybe not. But either way, it was just asking you to tell me the difference between this protest here, which is the King's Day protest, and it's them breaking down a barricade to the Capitol, compared to this here, which is J6 rioters breaking down the barricade to the Capitol, versus this, which is King's Day rioters breaking down the barricade to the Capitol. Do you see a difference? You see a difference in their hat, in like maybe the signs that they have, but no, there is no difference. So whether you lean too far right or left, if you go too far, it's a big ass problem. And my last point, I will say, federals only use lethal force on the right. I will say that, and I do think it's an important point to make, because if federals actually used real bullets on the left, we would just never hear the end of it. But you shoot a Republican and no one says that, oh, you're a fascist. But you shoot a liberal and they will say that you're a fascist. So that's kind of the problem here. Everyone does need to understand that. But whatever. Don't worry about it. Anyway, we're going to be giving updates in the future as much as we possibly can. Currently we've been doing about an episode every day or every other day. At the worst, we're going to be doing episodes every week, but we will be following any LA or King's Day protests / riots, and we also will be following this vigilante gunman that needs to be stopped, and we also will be following Israel v. Iran. So check us out. Definitely subscribe. It's worth a subscription. Definitely follow us and check us out on Twitch. We do all of these episodes live. So if you want a longer form content, check us out there. If you don't, that's why you're on YouTube. Have a great night.